Sir, may I come in? Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
What is your name?
Ma'am, my name is Sudeep Saha, ma'am. I am from Satgaon, district Kokrajhar, ma'am. I have done my graduation from Cotton College with political science as my honors subject. I have been briefly associated with teaching at Gosaigaon in Shankardev Vidyaniketan, ma'am. And my hobby is visiting villages by riding cycle, ma'am, on weekends. So this is my hobby, ma'am.
What was your optional?
Ma'am, my optional was political science, ma'am.
Tell us about ancient Indian political thought.
Ma'am, in ancient Indian political thought, we find ideas of Buddha. Then there is reference of Chanakya and his famous treatise on state and administration, that is Arthashastra, ma'am.
What is the difference between Dharma Shastra and Dandaniti?
Ma'am, Dharma Shastra is related with ethics, we can say, the Indian idea of ethics, ma'am. And Dandaniti are some ideas related with administration or punishment or penalties which were prescribed by our ancient scriptures or scholars to the rulers, ma'am, for governance.
Okay. Do you think all is good with Indian governance?
Ma'am, as of now, we have seen that there have been reforms at the administrative level to infuse more public participation, people's idea in the decision making process, ma'am. And I think that is why we are seeing a lot of improvement at the grassroots level, and there is more need of reforms for achievement the goal of a welfare state, ma'am.
Lateral entry into the civil service is doing the rounds. No? Do you think there should be a similar lateral entry in the Assam civil services? If so, why? State your reasons.
Yes. So in the central level, we have seen that in the past there have been events where some lateral entrants have entered in the central government, sir, like Manmohan Singh. He was inducted in the finance ministry or in the planning process. And even in the recent time, as you said, sir, there have been this experiment. In the state level, it can be done, sir. And recently, we have noticed, sir, that in our BTR, as I belong to BTR, they are incorporating these new ideas, sir. Experts they are bringing in the policy making process, sir, in the regional council, sir.
So you are of the opinion that civil servants should be specialists rather than the norm of being a generalist?
No, sir. To be means if I have not got myself wrong, or let me clarify, sir, that being a civil servant, it requires a totally different type of mindset, sir, because a civil servant has to deal primarily with the people and manage people, sir. But an expert is only an expert in a particular field, sir. And that is why we have seen that many civil means experts, they have not been able to perform in the government setup. For example, in the recent times, Guwahati in our state cabinet took a decision and inducted A.S. Sampant, I think, sir, for the implementing the water mission, sir. But after 2 or 3 months, he resigned himself. After some period of time, he resigned, sir. And that shows that the experts may not be able to handle the public pressure or the different situations which are thriving in our administrative system, sir. So I think there should be collaborative approach, sir, where both can work together, where generalist and some specialist can be included as per the demand of the area, sir, or the sector, sir.
What do you think are the qualities of a good civil servant?
I think, sir, the 3 primary qualities which a civil servant should produce, means he should possess, sir. Number 1, sir, integrity, commitment and dedication towards service, sir. Along with that, while taking decision, he must be accountable, sir. He must have commitment to the people and he should promote transparency, sir, while decision
Apuni
taking.
Ohomia Sahitya পঢ়িছেনে?
অসমীয়া সাহিত্যটো এক্সাক্টলি পঢ়া নাই, মেম, কিন্তু অলপ কেইটা ফেমাছ বুকছৰ নাম কোনে লেখক এইটো মই মানে প্ৰিপেৰেশ্যনৰ টাইমত চাইছোঁ আমাৰ অসমৰ, কিন্তু পাৰ্টিকুলাৰলি মই বুক এতিয়ালৈকে গ্ৰন্থ
এখনো পঢ়া নাই আপুনি? আচ্ছা, আপুনি অসমীয়া লিখিব জানেনে, পঢ়িব জানেনে?
হয় মেম, লিখিব পাৰোঁ, ক'ব পাৰোঁ মেম।
So আপুনি যদি আপোনাৰ থাকা যিখন জেগা গোসাইগাঁৱত তিনিটা এনেকুৱা মানে চেঞ্জেছ আনিব বিচাৰে সেই তিনিটা চেঞ্জেছ কোনকেইটা এছপেক্টত হ'ব
হয় মেম তাতে আমাৰ এডুকেশ্যনেল এনভাইৰনমেণ্টটো নাই এডুকেশ্যনেল ইনষ্টিটিউট এতিয়া ইমাৰ্জ হৈছে মেম ইন দ্য লাষ্ট 2 ডিকেডছ বাট দেৰ ইজ লেক অফ তাতে আমি চাইছোঁ এডুকেশ্যনৰ যিটো শিক্ষাৰ যিটো এটা পৰিৱেশ তাতে এইটো অভাৱ আছে মেম তো প্ৰথমত সেইটো আমি চেষ্টা কৰিম লোকেল আমাৰ স্থানীয় মানুহৰ লগত জড়িত হৈ তাতে এটা শিক্ষাৰ তাতে কেনেকুৱা আলোড়ন আমি সৃষ্টি কৰিব পাৰোঁ 1 নম্বৰ মেম দ্বিতীয় তাতে আন্তঃগাঁথনি বা ইনফ্ৰাষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰ ৰুৰেল এৰিয়াত গ্ৰামীণ অঞ্চলত এইটো অভাৱ হৈ আছে তো তাতে এইটো সোনকালে আমাৰ যিখিনি আঁচনি আছে সেইটো ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিব লাগে এণ্ড তৃতীয় তাতে আমাৰ এতিয়া এক্স কেডাৰ NDFBৰ বহুতখিনি যেটো BTR ৰেকৰ্ড হোৱাৰ পাছত তেওঁলোকে মেইন ষ্ট্ৰীমত এতিয়া আছে তো তেওঁলোকক আমি যাতে ভালকৈ আমাৰ মুখ্য ধাৰাত আনিব পাৰোঁ সেই প্ৰচেছটো ভালকৈ কৰিলে আমাৰ তাতে পাৰ্মানেণ্ট এটা সলিউশ্যন ওলাব মেম আৰু ডেভেলপমেণ্ট উন্নয়ন হ'ব মেম
চ' আপোনাক এনেকুৱা লাইফৰ কি ইনচিডেণ্টে আটাইতকৈ বেছি প্ৰভাৱ পেলাইছে
ফৰ জইনিং ইন চিভিল চাৰ্ভিচ
নহয় এনেই জীৱনত
জীৱনত মেম ইনচিডেণ্ট মানে মেম মই গুৱাহাটীত বা পাঠশালাত যেতিয়া পঢ়িলোঁ তো মই এটা বস্তু মানে ন'টিছ কৰিলোঁ আমাৰ তাতে যিটো অভাৱ তাতে যিটো আগতো ক'লোঁ মেম এডুকেশ্যনেল এৱেৰনেছটো তাতে বহুত তুলনামূলকভাৱে কম মেম তো এই বস্তুটো মানে বাহিৰত যেতিয়া আহিলোঁ কটনত পঢ়াৰ সৌভাগ্য পালোঁ গুৱাহাটীত থাকিলোঁ আৰু প্ৰিপেৰেশ্যনৰ লগত জড়িত হ'লোঁ তো সেই বস্তুটো লক্ষ্য কৰিলোঁ যে আমাৰ তাতে ইমান মানে অস্থিৰতা কিয় সেয়া মই ভাবোঁ মেম জ্ঞানৰ অভাৱৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ তাতে ইমান অস্থিৰতা হৈ আছে তো সেই বস্তুটো মোক এটা প্ৰভাৱ পেলালে যে শিক্ষাৰ যিটো আৰু জ্ঞানৰ যিটো মাহিত্য সেইটো মই গম পালোঁ মেম আৰু সেইটোৰ কাৰণে মই ভালকৈ মানে চেষ্টা কৰি আছোঁ যাতে চিভিল ছাৰ্ভেণ্ট হ'ব পাৰোঁ আৰু তাতে আমি যদিও পোষ্টেড নাথাকোঁ আমাৰ ৰাইজৰ মাজত এটা সজাগতা আনিব পাৰোঁ স্থানীয় লেভেলত সেইটো এটা মোৰ উদ্দেশ্য মেম
How do you take a good decision? How do you ensure that decision that you are taking is good?
Sir, in
Anything.
Okay, sir. Sir, when I take a decision, nowadays I will tell. Previously, I did not take much of a calculation. I did not calculate so much. So I take all the factors into account, assess them, and see the fallouts. What are the negative aspects? What are the positive outcomes? And accordingly, sir, I take a decision, sir. And while doing that, I see the short-term perspective and also assess the long-term, sir, achievements which can be achieved through my decision, sir.
Okay. How do you visualize Assam in next 5 years time?
Yes, sir. Sir, and we have seen a lot of transformation happening. If two main transformation, if I want to mention, number one, sir, transformation in APSC recruitment process, sir, which was previously, as we all know, sir, was inefficient. There was means allegations of corruption. So it was like a ban on our administrative system, especially at the grassroots level, sir. Now, as the system has smoothened, sir, and it has become more transparent, so it will help in the overall development of our state, sir. Secondly, the reform which I have seen, that is improvement in law and order, especially in our BTR area, sir. So in the next 5 years, I see, sir, that these two changes will have a long-term effect on the overall development of the state, ma'am, and we will be in one of the top performing states of our nation.
What do you think, which sectors in Assam are going to grow in next few years time?
Sir, agriculture, food processing industry, especially food processing industry we have seen, sir, animal husbandry, fisheries, and tourism, sir. These are the areas where there is a lot of potential and government has put a lot of emphasis on this sector, sir.
Which famous celebrity do you admire and why?
Sir, public figure.
Any?
Yes, sir. Sir, Homen Borgohai, I have been greatly inspired by his ideas. So he left his job as a civil servant long back, and he worked for journalism, and he raised the bar of journalism at a new height, sir. And his ideas were, he was a great visionary, sir, who had a great vision for Assam, sir. And if our administrator, policy makers, they follow his ideas, then we can really achieve our goal of a developed state, sir.
What were his visions?
Visions like, sir, of an egalitarian society, as he himself said, Homen Borgai sir, he himself said that he followed Gandhiji. So whatever ideas of Gandhiji were there, like in Assam now we are noticing that there are
Gandhiji preached non-violence.
Yes, sir.
All throughout his life.
Yes, sir.
But he recruited Indians for First World War.
Yes, sir.
So he contradicted himself very openly.
Yes, sir. Sir, even in the last phase of the freedom struggle, sir, like in the Quit India movement, he gave the slogan of do and die, sir, Mahatma Gandhiji. So Gandhiji always preached non-violence, sir, to a great extent, but he also relied on the concept of dharma, sir, Indian concept of dharma, and he followed the ideals of Bhagavad Gita, sir. So in Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord Krishna says that when there is time to fight the evil, that time the good has to raise the weapon, not for offense, but for self-defense and protection of dharma, sir. So I think Gandhiji, when he was supporting the British, he found the policies of Germany as evil, sir. So even in the Second World War, when Netaji was supporting the Germans, Nazis, so that time Gandhiji criticized Netaji because for him, for Gandhiji, Nazism, that ideology was representation of evil forces on earth, sir. So I think Gandhiji.
But imperialism itself we can consider as an evil, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how can
Imperialism is the biggest evil of all evils, and British imperialism was challenged by Nazis' imperialistic ideas and goals. So how can you say that British imperialism was good and Nazis' imperialism was bad?
Yes, sir. Sir, in that time, when there was this debate going on between Gandhiji and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, so even Gandhiji considered that the British imperialism as bad. He did not categorize it as good or a virtuous thing, sir. But that time he said he had a relative consideration that it is much more bad in comparison. And one is more
bad and worse. So it lies in the bad side only, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how can we justify recruiting our own Indians for fighting the cause of imperialism? It is the bigger reason for World War I was imperialistic greed that was going on in between the nation states. So how do we justify it?
Ma'am, that time I think the national leaders, they thought that to protect the national integrity was paramount, because if the enemy forces would occupy India, it would be detrimental to our efforts, national movement. And at that point of time, Gandhiji and other leaders, they had faith on the British, that they thought that after the First World War we will be given rights, political emancipation. So in that regard, they thought that helping the British would be a good decision. But at last they saw that the British did not follow their promise, and as a result, non-cooperation movement they started, ma'am.
Okay, what do you mean by justice? And what is modern conception of justice? How do you differentiate from earlier versions of justice?
Yes, sir. Sir, if, from the perspective of political science, sir, different political scholars, they have given different dimensions or ideas of justice, sir. For a layman, it will be like doing good to good and bad to bad. So these are very simple terms, sir. But like Plato, he gave his ideas which were very different, sir, and they are not modern in true sense. In the present time, sir, like John Rawls, his idea of justice is of social justice, sir, where he is saying that upliftment of the weaker section is of greater importance. That is, his ideas replicate that of social justice, sir.
His first, if we see his lexical order, the first or in the first order it comes liberty.
Yes.
So in the later in the third part we can see the difference principle, right?
Yes.
So how do you how can you say that his ideas were socialist, because he is being criticized for being a defender of procedural justice.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is said that he actually advocated procedural justice, but what was special about John Rawls was that he mixed the ideas of communitarianism, egalitarianism, and liberalism into one whole. Like, he did not deny the importance of liberty per se, but at the same time he was highlighting the importance of social justice, ma'am, because in the earlier debates we saw that the liberals, they consider one idea as superior to other, ma'am. Like, they say liberty is higher, on the other hand the socialist Marxist, they say equality is higher. But John Rawls, he tried to balance that, and he said that both equality and liberty, when are in a harmonious position, can lead to welfare of the people, ma'am, especially the weaker section, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudeep sir.